If you're thinking about getting into the lawn care industry or you're in it and you're just tired, this video is for you. Maybe you've heard there's no money in the business, and from your experience so far, there is no money in the business. Or there's no good employees. They can't be found. Or that some other trade, power washing, HVAC, plumbing, you name it, is a better business than the business you're in now. If you've heard this, or you're feeling it, I'm telling you, that information is just wrong. I've built multiple companies in multiple industries. In this industry, the lawn care and landscape industry, I believe it to be one of the easiest industries to start. I also know with certainty that it's an industry where you can actually scale a big business, and you can affordably scale a big business. And if you do it right, you can truly make millions and millions of dollars. Or maybe you don't want that. You just want a really great small business. You can do it in this business and actually make a lot of money. If you're in the business and you're thinking, is it time for a change? I want to address what you might be feeling as some of the concerns and also the concerns that you hear about the industry. One of the big ones is there's no money. And that one blows my mind. Now, there is no money for a lot of individuals because they're not doing it right. Because we all started out not knowing what to do, and we had to figure it out along the way. And once you figure it out, you're like, wow, it's kind of like once the curtains pull back, you're like, oh, this is how we're supposed to do this? This is how you build a good business? Then suddenly you're like, your mindset completely changes. You have this transformation about how you see the potential in front of you. Some people legitimately don't have a good business because they don't know what to do. In some cases, they're in the wrong market, and that market's so small, and there's nobody with any money to buy the services that they're never going to be able to build a good business. And it's a bummer, but they need to relocate. There are all kinds of reasons why someone, and it might be you, is not having success. But I will tell you, there are tons of people in this industry with businesses that do millions and millions of dollars a year. I know a lot of them. There are a lot of people with ginormous businesses that I don't know that have made crazy amounts of money in this business, with businesses that have passed down through generations. This is one of the biggest trade industries in the United States. This industry crosses continents. It is massive. The demand is massive. It all comes down to, are we willing to run our businesses the way they need to be run so that they're good businesses? But I assure you, of all the industries, no question in my mind, this is one that can take incredibly good care of you financially. I'm in the business. I know personally that that's the case. I also have the ability to buy or start other businesses, and I continue to say to myself, this is where I want to be. Another one, there's no good employees. Now, I will readily admit, this one is painful, and specific segments of the industry are more concerning than others. As an example, I do believe it's difficult to build a really big lawn mowing business, especially in residential. It's possible, it's just really painful at times. The employee challenge is a real challenge. But here's the thing, I know owners in all kinds of industries, not just the trades, and everybody says the exact same thing. There are no good people. I can't find enough people. I can't find enough people that want to work really hard. Everybody says the same thing. So then you have to decide, do you even want to play the game of business? Because it doesn't matter what trade you go to or what industry you go to, you're going to have a similar problem. Now, maybe within lawn and landscape, residential lawn mowing is one of the more difficult segments. Great news. You don't have to do it. I don't have to do it. For whatever reason, we at our company continue to inflict pain upon ourselves because we try to stay in that business, because there's so much I love about the lawn mowing business. But yes, it is legitimately the most difficult part of the business now due to employees. If you keep it small, not the case. If you go big, starts to become a little bit challenging. But just know the pain that you're feeling, the challenges you feel, these are happening in every single industry. And so jumping to another industry does not fix the problem. Another one, it's just not that good of a business. Really, tell that to the private equity money that's coming into the industry and buying up businesses, left and right. Tell them, what do they maybe know that you and I don't know? Actually, I feel like I know. I'm very confident in this business. I'm in it and I want to grow mine much, much bigger. But what is it that they know that maybe others don't know? It's savvy money. I think it's a great example of how good the industry is. So the truth is, lawn care, the landscape, these businesses, they're difficult. They're difficult when you do it wrong. And yeah, they're a struggle. But if you do it right, it will change your life. One of my absolute favorite things about the lawn and landscape industry is it's one of the cheapest and easiest businesses to start. You can come from a world where you have had no examples of how to build a business. You can come from a world where you have no money. You can have no advantages. You can have almost nothing going for you. And as long as you can get a lawnmower and a truck, or at least a vehicle with a trailer, you can get in business. And then you can change the entirety of your life. If you have no money and no skills, it's going to be very difficult to start a technology company. It's going to be very difficult to start a manufacturing company. It's going to be very difficult to start so many businesses that might look interesting. But this is a business that you can start. And with a lawnmower, you can start to make money and build money in your bank account. And then you can start to get experience about how to run a business and how to get clients. And one day, you might wake up and have a $50 million a year business, if that's something you even care about. But how many industries can you start with absolutely everything in life going against you, and you can turn it into something insane, something that will make you a millionaire, something that will make you an incredibly nice annual income, something that will teach you how to be a business leader and run a great business. And in other words, transform the rest of your life. There are not a lot of businesses that can do that, and this industry can do it. And in some cases, there are businesses that can do that. There's a ton of biz-op stuff on the internet where, yes, you can get into this thing very inexpensively, but the business doesn't scale. It's a lousy business. The majority of business opportunities that I see and the majority of businesses out there, I would never in a million years want to be in those businesses. When I look at business, I don't just say, hey, what is a good business to be in that I can just easily start that happens to be something I can do right here in my neighborhood? That might have been how I used to think, but today the way I think about something is, what is the best business to be in that can make a lot of money and scale really big? I continue to look at this industry and say, it's this industry. There's a bunch of opportunities, but this is one of them. I started mowing lawns at 14 years old. I didn't know anybody that was an entrepreneur. I didn't know anybody that was rich. I didn't even have a world view that I could eventually be a high income earner or rich. I just didn't see it anywhere in my life. All I saw was examples of people in magazines that had done it, but I didn't know any of them. I did go to college. I did work insanely hard. I did study and read books. I did everything a person has to do to end up where I'm at now. But it all started with the spark of getting into the lawn care business. I just wanted to make more money than all my friends who had jobs made working at the grocery store or a fast food restaurant. And suddenly I realized, wait a second, wow, I can make way more money than them. Maybe this entrepreneurial thing is the way to go. And maybe that's your story. And I can tell you from my experience and from knowing so many other people, it's actually not a terribly uncommon story. So I love this industry for how it can be a stepping stone to take you anywhere you want to go. I started in lawn care. I knew I wanted to be in technology, but I didn't know how to get there. I did get a degree in that, but I actually never even really used it because the only job I ever had, I got it before I finished college. And my point is, I went from lawn care to cleaning to consulting, tech consulting, to a software company, done a couple software companies. I've done all kinds of stuff, but the spark was a 14-year-old kid mowing lawns. That's why I love this business. I was talking to some friends this weekend who are building their business, and they're getting close to a place where they're going to cash out. They're in the lawn care industry, and they're going to take all that money and they're going to go full into real estate. They're already in real estate now in a small way, and they're going to go into real estate in a big way. So you can start out mowing lawns or installing landscapes or whatever that thing is, and parlay this into a big business in the industry, or parlay it into a business that's big enough that it teaches you incredible amounts of skill to run a business and put some money in your account, so you could go into a completely different industry and take all those skills to that business, or take the money that you've accumulated and go into something completely different. How many places can you do that? How many businesses can you legitimately do that in? I know there's a bunch of them, but I have a hard time naming them. The other reason why I love this business is I believe it's going to work for a long time. Coming from the tech industry, I very much think about risk. I think about businesses getting disrupted. And the tech industry is a perfect example where it's very hard to predict the future right now. It's very hard to know what's coming that could disrupt whatever you build in technology right now. I still love that industry, but the concerns I have in technology, I do not have them in this industry. Maybe we're not a must-have service such as, say, plumbing, but we are absolutely not selling luxury services. I'll go back to the lawn mowing example. How many people are going to go out and buy all the lawn care equipment to mow their lawn if it's not something they've done in a decade? How many younger people that have grown up have never mowed a lawn and have absolutely zero desire to ever mow their lawn? How many people are going to really kill their own bugs? How many people are really going to start figuring out how to do fertilization weed control? How many are installing landscapes or dealing with drainage issues or irrigation? We could just go down the list. Yeah, it's not plumbing, but it's, you're going to have a hard time selling me that most people one day are suddenly going to change their mind and they're going to start doing these services themselves. Rather, what's going to happen is the trend's going to continue. More and more people are going to not do these services around their homes. So I feel very good about the continued growth of the industry, and I don't feel risk. Unlike technology, I don't feel risk around AI. I actually think AI is going to be an awesome opportunity for individuals running businesses in the trades, because there's going to be an incredible amount of cool software coming that will make your business more efficient to run with fewer people. I don't live in fear of robots. I think there are some concerns around robots. I'm not going to go into them in this video, but they're not coming soon. There's lots of stories about how soon we're going to have robots. All I have to say on this topic is good luck. When the tech's there, the government regulation and the government safety standards and everything else that the government has to agree to before we can actually fully deploy robots is going to take forever. And robots are not ready. I won't go down that road. I'm just saying that is not a risk coming very soon. And frankly, when it does come, I think to a large degree, it will be nothing more than an opportunity for us. The other thing I love is this industry works in every market in the United States. If your little market won't support the business that you dream of building, then you can hop in your truck and you can drive to a market that does, and you can rent an apartment and you can build there. And then you can get a life that everybody else just talks about. And it's why I called this 5 for 50. You can go all in, heads down, do whatever it takes, and you'll wake up one day because you moved to another city and you will get to live a life unlike everybody else. You can make millions of dollars in this business, but you got to do it right. Now, that doesn't mean you have to want to make millions of dollars. It doesn't mean you have to want to build a big business. That's the other great thing. If you say to yourself, hey, I don't want any of that. That doesn't interest me. I just want to build a really small, awesome, profitable business, then that is widely available to you. And that is the single best place to start. And then one day you may say, hey, you know what? I think I'm now at a place in my life. I actually want to go bigger with this thing. But if you choose to never do that, you can build a phenomenal business in this industry that will take care of you for the long term. But the point is, you can make a lot of money if you want to. I know tons of people who went from nothing to businesses that are making millions and millions of dollars a year. And what's the difference between them and everyone else? Well, one, they believed it was possible, and then they did whatever they had to do to figure it out. That's the best way I know to put it. You got to do whatever you got to do to figure it out. You got to get around whoever you got to get around to learn the lessons. You got to read whatever you've got to read. You got to get in a coaching group. You have to hire somebody to help you understand the data of your business. Whatever that thing is, you have to be a bulldog and say, I'm going to get this thing and I'm going to figure it out. And if I have to live on ramen and live in an apartment longer than I want to, I don't care because I'm going to get this thing. That's literally the attitude you have to have. The question is, are you willing to do that? And if you aren't, that's totally cool. I'm just saying that's what it takes to get what you want in this industry or in any other industry. I started out mowing lawns, and I had vending machines, and I was flipping cars, and then I went to college, and I was still doing a few of those things, and I knew I wanted to be in technology, and that was the path I wanted to go on. But my very first technology company didn't make it. It burned all my savings. We threw in the towel. We walked away. And by that time, I already had a wife. I got married at 21, and I had 2 boys. It was devastating. Now I'm in the lawn care industry. I was also in cleaning, and then I got in the lawn care industry. And I very quickly realized I don't have the faintest idea what I'm doing. I made all the classic mistakes. I was underbidding work. I got into contracts I should have never got into that kicked my butt. We were losing money. I tried all the cool marketing things that everybody said you should try. I hired a designer to design my cool door hangers and postcards. They didn't work. I did everything that I thought I should do. I didn't understand, as I said, how to price, and I didn't understand my numbers. I didn't know what data to watch, and everything was happening to me, and it was too much. But I was convinced there was something in the business because I kept looking around and seeing these other people that were doing really, really well. And sometimes that was just meant I would read trade journals and read about them, but I didn't actually know them. And so I was searching, trying to figure out, how do I build this business? I don't want to give up. And I discovered these 2 guys. One's Dan Kennedy, and another guy's named Jay Abraham. They put on conferences, they had books, and I started consuming their information. And it was a moment where I was just kind of nodding along, yes, this makes all the sense in the world. This just seems like the answer. And so I started following some of the things that I was reading, predominantly around marketing. And it wasn't an overnight, it didn't turn into an overnight success, but I started getting these little wins that made me say, oh, wait a second, this might actually work. I'm seeing something here. And I do more and more and more. And so it wasn't as though I had a problem, I read a book, and then I had a $10 million business. Didn't quite play out like that. It was more like I had a problem, I went on a journey of learning and trying things, and a number of years later, I kind of look up and I'm like, oh wow, we've got something here. This is really going. And then it just kept going and going and going. And that is how it works. If you want to get a business that's really successful, you're in the right industry. So now what you've got to do is you've got to go on a journey of learning everything you've got to learn. You've got to go through the trial and error, but you also have to go seek out answers. As I said earlier, lawn care might just be your spark. This might be where you start, and then one day you end up in something different. Like me, I started in lawn care and I ended up in technology. I started in lawn care and then I ended up in coaching. And I've been in other trades. And I've done consulting in multiple industries outside of the trades. But it all goes back to starting in lawn care. So back to my example of you've got to go on this journey of trial and error and learning. The cool thing is, even if this isn't the business you want to do long term, this business will force you to learn how to market and attract clients. It'll force you to learn how to price properly and understand the numbers of your business. It will force you to learn how to hire people and fire people and manage people. Every one of those skills, if you don't learn them, no other business will be successful. Those are the fundamentals of every business. So whenever any of us are beat down and exhausted and we're like, oh, I heard about this guy in this other trade is making all this money and it doesn't look like his life's that difficult. I should go do that. That guy learned marketing. That guy learned pricing. He learned his numbers. He learned how to hire. He learned how to manage. He learned how to fire. He learned all those skills. That's why he has that business and why he has that life. There is no business where you can't do that. What I mean by that is there's no business where you can ignore all those skills and not learn those things, and it's easy over there. It doesn't exist. These are the fundamentals of business. Your path to success, it's wide open. And that might mean for you that you start small and you scale to 8 figures and you sell to PE, private equity. It might mean that you start small and you stay small. You run a small, profitable business and you get to live life on your terms and you get to do the work out in the field and you love it. That's a good life. It might be, as I've alluded to, that you use everything you learn building this business, but you parlay it into a completely different business and you eventually go doing something completely different. Whatever the path is for you, this industry is an incredible launching pad. And as I've said, absolutely, there are challenges. Absolutely, this industry is full of people that underbid. It has tons of competition. But the good news is, the reason there's so much competition is because there's a lot of money to be made, and it's a good industry. Everyone has people problems. But the best companies, at the end of the day, they figure it out and they rise above everyone else. I have friends who make very significant incomes at jobs. They've never been entrepreneurs. We live in completely different worlds. But I never look at their lives and say, well, they don't have stress. They don't have pressure. They don't have lots of hard conversations. They don't deal with all the same challenge. They deal with so many of the same challenges that I deal in. Why? Because it's business. There are fundamentals that go into building and running a business. Whether you own it or you work for it, if you rise up inside the company and you're working for it, you still have to deal with the challenges. There are so many people inside organizations that are team employees, team members, that are essentially running the business. They're dealing with everything the entrepreneur deals with. So the reality is, whatever the frustration, whatever the challenge, whatever the letdown is that you might be feeling or someone else might be feeling in the industry, if you want to make money and you want to make a living in business, you can't escape the problems. The problems are business. So what you have to do is you have to figure out how to solve those problems day in and day out. And you have to figure out how to bring people into the organization to help you solve those problems. Because lawn care isn't perfect, but there's no business that's perfect. But if you commit to learning whatever you got to learn, it will change your life. If you're burned out, if you're tired, I encourage you to stay in the game. I encourage you to go down a road of exploration, get around whoever you have to get around, spend the money, even when you feel like you don't have the money, and figure this stuff out. Because when you do, it will change everything. And if you're starting a business or you're in it and you're saying to yourself, I don't really want to build $1 million business. I don't want a lot of employees. I don't want to go big. Then watch this video. This video is about how do you build a highly profitable small business, because this industry can give you just that.